So first off, I'd like to try this George T. Stagg. It's an award winner, so we're gonna give this a try and give you our perspective on it. See what we think.
That's a beautiful color.
It is.
So when I first was introduced to bourbon, I thought it smelled terrible. My husband would have it on his breath and I was just like, oh my goodness, what? That's like gasoline. But once I started hearing the stories and really understanding the background, it started to grow on me. And then learning what the aromas are and like having that open palate, and there's a story for every single bottle.
That's true.
So unique and very special. And that's really what drew me to wanting to learn more about bourbon.
This one does smell strong. It is high in alcohol content, which does make it smells strong. But it smells nice.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give it a taste.
So one thing I remember that they shared with us on the bourbon trail was to sniff with each nostril, not just going right in. And I think that you can definitely,
Does that work?
when I go full in,
It's too much.
it's too much. So I think as you're easing into it and learning more about bourbon, it's just more subtle and you can kind of get those different aromas and not get that burn.
You know, on my first taste, I will say, even though the alcohol content on this is pretty high, it doesn't have a lot of burn. I'm surprised. It's actually pretty smooth. But another thing that I learned is that to take one taste first and let it go down, and they call that in Kentucky the Kentucky hug, which I love that. I love that phrase. But kind of let it get down into you and settle and get all warm and cozy, and then take another taste. And that's when you really start to feel and taste the nuances of it. Because the first taste, you know, you have to kind of get through the burn a little bit, because it's going to be there no matter what. But that second taste will give you a little bit more of the flavor that you can feel.
Depending on the proof, your body wants to reject it initially because if it's too strong. And so you don't get that actual taste because your body's having a reaction. It's like, whoa, what is this? So that is why the second taste is way more important. You can actually really get the full effect.
Yes, never judge a bourbon by one taste alone.
Exactly.
You've got to go back for a second one to give it a true, honest opinion.
And it even smells better now that after that first taste. I'm really getting a lot of caramel.
Did you feel it was really hot that first?
It was warm. I didn't get a burn like I have had with others. It was very smooth. Very, very smooth.
It is. It's got a really nice smooth flavor. I like this flavor a lot.
I do too. This would be really great as a dessert, like after dinner, because it's a little sweet.
But not overly sweet to me. I feel like I've had some that are sweeter than this. This is kind of it feels very balanced to me. I've never had this one before.
I think for a first-time bourbon drinker, this would not shy anybody away.
It wouldn't. That's a high level to go for a first-time drinker, for sure. This is not an entry-level bourbon. This is definitely a
special
higher level bourbon. It's good though. I like it. So one thing I will say about this is that the flavor does change as you continue to drink it, and even as you take pours from the bottle. They say that as the bottle reaches at least this shoulder point, that's what they call where the curve meets the straightaway here. As the liquor meets this point, it gets more air to it and it changes the flavor, sometimes very significantly. And so you can see this one has passed the shoulder. And I will say, just taking sip upon sip of this one glass, the flavor has changed a lot for me. And the last sip I took, it tasted dramatically different. It was more like a sweet creme brulee.
Most definitely.
Just almost like a desserty, not sugary per se, but just a richness to it. It was very different from the first 2 sips that I took. So again, I would remind you to not judge a bourbon too quickly, because sometimes it can change over time as you continue to give it a try.
It's very smooth and there's no burn. It's really great. So many might be wondering the price point on something so rare and delicious. So the MSRP is about $100. But on the secondary market, you're really looking at anywhere from $800 and up, depending on where you are and what the demand is. And since this is so rare and only being released in 2020, the value will keep going up. So it is definitely a higher price point, but it is worth it.
Yep. So good luck finding it, but if you do, enjoy.